Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Johnson, Laverne High School Principal for Laverne Public Schools. And we want to welcome you to our 2020-2021 school year open house. Obviously, it's quite a bit different than in years past, where unfortunately you're not able to come in person, be able to meet your teachers face to face, and be able to walk around the building. Due to several things, obviously with COVID that we have going on, and then also our building construction issues that we are also kind of facing as well and trying to get through here. So I want to just kind of give you an introductory video here for you to kind of look at and think about the year ahead, especially as it relates to the building project that we have going on and with COVID. So I'm going to present here real quick. So obviously this year we are looking at the possibility of going from in-person to hybrid to distance learning. So we might be in one of those three forms of learning at a given point in time all the way through the year. As we have already stated, and I will state later on here in this talk too, we are going to be starting in a hybrid model. So we'll take a look at what that is, but just kind of know that there's going to be some potential fluidity between those three models here. So to start out with, though, I want to give you a little bit of an update here on the building changes here and kind of where we're at. Here's a picture of the front lobby. It looks quite a bit different than what we have in years past. So if you come in under the canopy doors, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see new tile, new ceiling, and then just kind of new arrangement of the classrooms, which I'll show and articulate later here. These are in the middle school. These are some of the learning commons. So the middle school is a lot farther along in completion than the high school is. So right now, this is the 6th grade learning commons, and that would be looking into Ms. Mosted's room. Ms. Hugendorn's down here, and then on this side would be Mr. Snyder's. But this is kind of a nice open learning commons for students to be able to kind of gather, and kind of a nice gathering space in between, before and after classes here. Here's a 7th grade look. They have a little bit more furniture up there, trying to get, again, some things kind of into place. These areas, again, are much further along and are basically ready for, other than just a little bit of organization, basically ready for students to be able to kind of come. Here's the 8th grade, again, kind of cleared out. It's a little bit different. This is actually in the old library. So we repurposed that space with several classrooms in there. Here's a 8th grade bay of lockers here. This is kind of outside of where the library used to be as well. So 8th grade will have that, and these are the new look for the lockers that we have, which we don't have very many. This happens to be one of them that we have, but we are waiting for actually more to still come. One of the kind of the prizes that we've kind of had in this, that's been a really neat thing that we like to show off right now, is our new weight room. This used to be the band choir area. So you'll notice kind of all the weight racks that we have right there with the new weights and lots of Cardinals and Laverne plaster kind of all over the weights. Here's a little vantage point right there. You'll notice that there's a piece of carpet kind of in the middle of it for doing wind sprints and various things like that that they can kind of still do within the indoors. There's also going to be a classroom. If you look, Mr. Winiger's office is going to be right there, and then kind of off to the right is going to be a PE classroom as well that kids will be able to utilize too. Moving to the high school, though, this is where, again, we need some more work and more time to be able to complete all the classes. This is the upstairs hallway. This actually used to be the 7th and 8th grade wing here. But you'll notice that we don't have any lockers, so we are waiting for lockers to come in. All the classrooms are nearing completion, but they still have to have the final touches and that to go. So we are looking at a week to 2 weeks before we will be able to get into this area and occupy this area. So we do have some temporary classes that I will show you here in a minute. Here's the downstairs. This actually here to the right, this used to be my offices. That's going to be a business computer lab now. So you'll notice that the downstairs, though, still has even further to go. So that is going to be at least, I would say, 2 weeks to potentially 3 weeks out is what we are anticipating here. So there's going to be some special ed classrooms kind of down here. There's some PE health classrooms as well on this wing. If we go down the old senior hallway, which would be taking the hallway down towards the old elementary link to get us into the elementary. This used to be like Mrs. Ward and Mr. Sickmiller's area. This is going to be our student services area. So Mr. Oy with activities will be in here. Mrs. Cook, our counselor, Mrs. Scapel, our social worker. They will all be in this area right here. We also have some little breakout rooms in there as well. Marshall Boovie will have a desk right here in this area. You'll notice that there's going to be a front window that's right there for students to be able to kind of come up and parents, and if they need to make payments for activities and such, they can do that right there. And kind of finally, these are going to be our new middle school and high school offices down here. Once again, this is kind of, these are the old bathrooms. They're still here. And then some of the social studies and English high school classrooms were down here. And again, the link was down in that area as well. So our area is going to be right here to the left. And we'll have several, so Mr. Phelps, myself, Mrs. Overson right now is going to be in there. Eventually, this is all going to get open. This is going to get opened up into the new commons area and performing arts, and also down just past kind of this area right here where it's all boarded up. That's going to be where the front offices for the high school and middle school offices are going to be. So Mrs. Overson and Mrs. Collette will be repurposed over in this particular area as well. So still a lot of things kind of working on to be able to kind of get completed and finished, and so therefore we have some changes. Consequently, that means we also have excuse me, the displacement of teachers and where they're going to be. We will have a map for all students when they get here to kind of know where some of the classrooms are going to be, because I know they're going to be kind of all over the place. You'll notice this is going to be the 7th grade. So this is the north end, kind of close to where the football field is. This is the 8th grade right here. This is the old library. Mrs. Lace is going to be up here. Mr. Brinkman's right there. These classrooms down here in the south are still getting worked on and completed. So we still need to work on those and get those situated. If we go downstairs, you'll notice that, again, because of the classrooms not being all completed, we did have to repurpose some people. So for instance, social studies, Mr. Rops, Mr. Berghorst, and then the new Mr. Larson. He is going to be the government teacher, replacing Mr. Rysdam. They are going to have just kind of corners in the gym for right now. Mrs. Swenson, our German teacher, Mrs. Thorson, our Spanish teacher, they are going to be in the South Small Gym, where they will have just corners as well to be able to kind of get in there. For those that have Mrs. Ward, you're going to be down here in this far corner. Ms. Hageman will actually have a little office kind of here in the 6th grade area. These are going to be the 6th grade teachers right here. Everything else is fairly well, pretty close to the same. Mr. Sickmiller will end up in my old office space, but for right now, he's going to be down here in the district office in the district boardroom currently. Mr. Maxwell, Mr. Sambolt, they're actually going to be, even though I put them here, they're actually going to be down the steps in the cafeteria and in the old weight room is what we're looking at for that. So once again, we will have a map for students when they get here, and we'll be out and about and helping people find stuff. So I just want people to know, just be patient. Don't worry about it. We're not going to be, pushing that you're not there on time and things like that. We're going to get you where you need to go. So if you're not sure, you can kind of come down to the front lobby area, potentially principal's office, or there's going to be a lot of staff members out as well that will be more than happy to be able to redirect you and get you where you need to kind of go. Because unfortunately, again, after about a week or two, these changes are all going to hopefully be made at that point in time, and teachers getting situated into their normal classroom. So, all right. So as we kind of get going with Laverne Schools here and what this year is going to look like, the daily routine is going to be a little different. Obviously, having a hybrid is going to be a little bit unique, but some things to kind of note on the daily routine. Because we don't have lockers, we are allowing students, and even those students that maybe do have a locker, I think like the 8th grade possibly, and then some of the 9th grade and maybe a little bit of the 10th grade, they might have lockers. And so if you do have a locker that is open and functioning, I guess I should say, you can utilize that, but there's going to be a lot of students that will not have lockers. Once again, don't worry about it. All I would say is bring your book bag along, and you're just going to have to use your bag to go from classroom to classroom to carry your stuff at this point in time. So hopefully we'll have it in short order. Our bell system is also not functioning at this point in time, but once again, we're going to be flexible with things. Teachers will release that what those appropriate hours are, and students should, with purpose, go get anything that they need to. And of course, if they have their own backpack, they can just they should be pretty easily navigating to their next classroom. And again, we'll have teachers out and about too, helping with that transition. Technology, as we move into this hybrid potential distance learning, we are increasing our technology as far as the number of Chromebooks that we have. We are looking at this point, if your student does not, in the middle school, high school, does not have technology at home, does not have a computer at home to be able to connect to the internet, we want to be able to give him or her that. And so we are looking at that we will have computer checkouts for students. And we're thinking in the first week we're thinking that Thursday and Friday of the first week that we will be handing out computers for students. Okay, so if your child needs that, we want to be able to provide that. You'll need to let us know about that, and your student might be able to let us know as well. As far as the first day, and I should also clarify, the first day, first week as well. The first day, which is going to be half of the kids, it's going to be the white kids that show up, or I should say the white group that shows up. Those kids, we will have schedules for them in the high school. We'll also have a map for them as well. And again, we'll try to get them in their routine of where they're going to go. Obviously on Wednesday, that would be for the red group that would show up. For the first week, I want to kind of clarify this as well. If your student is here, then they're participating in the coursework and they're doing everything that they need to do to be able to interact appropriately and getting work done and getting things set up in their classrooms. For the first week, if they are at home, I want you to think of it as basically a little bit more of an extension of summer at this point in time. So if a student is red, they're not going to be here on Tuesday and on Thursday. So they would be at home, and at this point, we're not going to have anything for them to do at home for this first week. Again, we'll try to get the technology to them that they need if they have that, and then the following week that they would get rolling with that. Also, I guess to back up real quick into the technology piece, we're also looking at utilizing Google Classroom again. So that first week, there's going to be a lot of teachers that will be handing out what their Google Classroom codes are, so kids will get set up with their Google Classrooms, so that therefore when they start into their second week, they'll be able to move right along and follow what some of the routine is and learning for those days that they're distance learning. So we do have other online subscriptions that they're going to be utilizing as well. A lot of those are going to be linked up with Google Classroom, so or their Google account rather. So if they have their Google account, they should be able to log in with those. There'll be a couple others. There might be one or two that they have to have their own password for that hopefully they can have written down somewhere and be able to remember. So the other thing that they will need technology-wise is their portal site for Infinite Campus. So if they do not have that set up, we will need to make sure that we get that set up. Another thing to illustrate here, or highlight rather, is going to be our school nurse. In years past, we've had Mr. Paquette go from the elementary in the morning to the middle school, high school in the afternoon. With the building changes, we have one central location that he is going to be situated at, which happens to be in the elementary, just on the other side. And we were hoping that at the start of school, there's going to be an easy passage from our end down here into the elementary, but that passage is not there at this point in time. So unfortunately, if someone needs to go to the school nurse, they will need to leave the building, go through community ed, through those community ed doors, and then find Mr. Paquette kind of on the other side there. So Mr. Paquette is in one of the old locker rooms, I should say one of the locker rooms of the elementary area. So we'll try to point those out for those kids. If it is just simply, I need a Band-Aid, and you just kind of get checked or just need to lay down or something like that, we might be able to do some things here at our student services. However, if someone is experiencing symptoms and needs to leave the classroom, the teacher will notify Mr. Paquette and tell Mr. Paquette that so-and-so, to expect so-and-so to come. And that person would have to walk outside and go through that, or go through the community ed into the nurse's office. Our parking lot right out here, just to the south of us here, is getting worked on currently. So unfortunately, it is going to be a little bit more of a longer trek because you have to kind of go outside of the fence area. they are hoping in the next couple of weeks to have the parking lot done as well. And so that hopefully that would be a little bit of a quicker walk to be able to get over there to the school nurse. And the ultimate goal would be that relatively soon, but probably more like the winter time, that we would actually have the connection point flowing easily indoors from the middle school, high school to the elementary. So hybrid learning. Here's the schedule for the hybrid learning. You'll notice the middle school starts lunch at 10:45, which we know is early. Unfortunately, it's just kind of the way it shook out here. High school lunch is at around 11:30. And you'll notice that we have them kind of clustered a little bit, so for different releases. So therefore, hopefully, again, to alleviate some of the congestion of everyone kind of going down to lunch at one point in time. Now, remember again, with the hybrid learning, you have half the kids that are going to be there. So, sorry, I also missed that. So once again, red and white. And I had a little video that I sent out a week ago about determining if you are red or white. So please look at that. You can find that on your portal site at Infinite Campus to see if you are in the red group or the white group. If you are in the white group, you are on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and every other Friday. If you're in the red group, you're Mondays, Wednesdays, and every other Friday. And there is in the portal site, the Fridays are going to be identified for you, so you can determine what those are. If you are present in school, you'll be going through this schedule. If you are at home, though, we are looking at, with the early release of 1:30, that after that, students would be that are at home would be specifically logging in and connecting with teachers and getting some of the coursework that they need to get caught up with what was taught on that particular day. Teachers will probably also be posting things onto their Google Classroom. That time also allows for teachers to be able to work on getting virtual things up and ready to go. So the next day, those kids that are at home, they might be able to do some things during the day as well. And I do also want to emphasize this too, is that this is how we're starting the hybrid. I think right now we're trying to figure out all the technology needs that are going to be out there. Can we meet those technology needs? What things we have with that? All the logistics that we need to iron out with stuff. And somewhat of a hopes of the possibility of getting to a point where they might actually be logging in specifically during their school hour, but we have a lot of things to kind of work out to kind of get to that point. So we will be communicating with students in particular, but also with parents too, if our hybrid kind of changes and what that change might look like. And the last thing I just want to kind of illustrate is face coverings. I know there's a lot of different feelings that are out there, but at this point in time, Minnesota is required to have facial coverings, such as masks, shields, gaiters, different things like that, to be able to mitigate the further transmission of this virus. So if your child is coming to school, they will be required to wear a face mask or, again, a face covering. So please be mindful of that. Please be respectful of the fact that we are by law required to do that. You'll notice here this COVID-19 face covering policy 809. The school board is looking at adopting this as a policy. And so it is our job to carry out this policy. And so once again, your child is expected, if they are coming, to have a face mask. We do have a good amount of face masks here as well for students to be able to gather and to get. And so we want to provide that and help out people in that particular way. And ultimately in the hopes that we will get further control over this virus, as well as specifically that we would also get to a point at which we would be back in person and in more of a normalcy of how school functions and runs. So thanks for listening to me. I appreciate the time that you have. Appreciate being able to work with your students. Looking forward to the year, but there's going to be a lot of challenges, so please be patient with us. We'll try to communicate as best as we can, but there's a lot of things that are flowing and functioning, and a lot of questions I know that are going to be out there, but we're going to do what we can to make this a productive and efficient year. So have a great day.